Hello, dear students. Welcome back to the third part of the poem, The Ballad of Father Gilligan. In the second part, I have discussed with you how Peter Gilligan, while begging apology from God, praying God, fell asleep on the chair. And it was early hour of the evening when the moths were flying around again and the number of stars was increasing to millions, and the wind was blowing very gently, the leaves were shaking, and God was whispering to the mankind. And at the same time, we have also discussed how Peter Gilligan, out of a jerk due to some nightmare, due to some bad dream, got up from his sleep and hearing the chirp of sparrows, and he said, but he became surprised and he said, when I was asleep on a chair, the man has tired. Okay, now let us see. Mabron, the man has tired. While I slept on the chair, he roused his horse out of his sleep and rode with little care. Now we have discussed up to stanza 6, come to stanza 7, and here the first word, Mabron and Mabron. Now these two words, Mabron and Mabron, they are Irish words meaning grief or sorrow. Now Mabron means it is an Irish expression. The people of Ireland, to express their sorrow, their grief, say Mabron, Mabron. That means because Peter Gilligan belonged to Ireland, the writer W. Yeats also belonged to Ireland, therefore the Irish language is repeated here, Mabron, Mabron. That means it is a great sorrow, great patho. What is the great tragedy, great sorrow? The man has died while I slept in the chair. Now Peter Gilligan might have seen in his dream, due to some nightmare, due to some earlier thought about that sick man who was on his bed, when Peter Gilligan was asleep on his chair. He was relaxing his body. At that time, the man has died. Now sometimes what we dream early in the morning at about 4 a.m. at night, that dream comes true. Because, and again we are so told that whatever we think deeply during the daytime, we dream about that at night when we are semi-asleep. Now Peter Gilligan went to sleep thinking about the poor sick man who had sent for him. Now it might have been due to his nightmare that he saw the poor man dying when he was on his chair. He roused his horse out of his sleep. Now it was early morning, the horse was still asleep. Now Peter Gilligan woke up himself with a jerk suddenly, and again without wasting time he entered into his stable and aroused the horse, awakened the horse from his sleep and rode with little care. You see, we are talking about an old man, old priest, and who is never used to riding horse very fast. But you see, unlike other days, Peter Gilligan was in a hurry, and therefore without wasting time, without waiting for the daybreak, he aroused the horse from sleep and rode with little care. Little is negative in approach. Now without care, quite recklessly, Peter Gilligan drove to the house of the sick poor man. Now very recklessly, very carelessly, with little care, Peter Gilligan rode his horse to the house of that poor man. Now you see, soon after waking up from his bed, from his chair, from his sleep, Peter Gilligan is now heading towards the house of that sick poor man. Now come to stanza 8. Stanza 8. Okay. He rode now as he never rode. Peter Gilligan was a horse rider. Now, unlike other days, he might have visited the houses of different people, those who were under his parish, under his church, and he might have gone to their houses riding the horse. But today, this morning, Peter Gilligan drove his horse so fast that he had never rode it so faster than today. Now he rode now as he never rode. That means today he rode his horse faster than other days. By rocky lane and fen. You see what is the road? Now this fen is a marshy land. Fen is marshy land. Marshy land means the land which is covered with water and it is muddy. And here rocky lane, the narrow road full of rocky lane. Okay. Now Peter Gilligan is preferring a shortcut road to the house of that poor man. Now he, instead of going in about a roundabout way, in a broad way, in a macadamized way, in a peace road, he traversed to the house of that poor man along the rocky road and along the marshy road. The road was narrow and the road was muddy, and without caring for his safety, Peter Gilligan is now driving his horse very fast along the rocky lane and marshy land. The sick man's wife opened the door. Father, you come again. Now within no time, Peter Gilligan arrived at the house of that poor sick man. And when he reached there, the wife of that sick man, the man who was sick, who was ill, who was bedridden, who had sent for Peter Gilligan, now the wife of that sick man, poor man, opened the door. Now seeing Peter Gilligan, the father of the church, in front of his house, in front of his door, the wife of their sick man opened the door, and you see, Father, you come again. And she was surprised, she was quite astonished to see Father Peter Gilligan. And out of surprise, out of astonishment, what did she utter? What did she say? You come again. Father, you have come again. Now you see, we know Peter Gilligan was fast asleep on his chair. Peter Gilligan was quite tired. Peter Gilligan complained about his lack of rest, lack of peace, lack of joy. And because he was unable to move to the house of that poor man, he had also begged pardon, begged mercy, begged forgiveness from God. And how could that old priest Peter Gilligan come to the house of that poor man? Never. Peter Gilligan did not come to the house of that poor man. And now here is the surprise. Here is the mystery. Here is the mystery, because it is still not known whether Peter Gilligan had actually come to the house of this poor man or somebody else. But according to the poor man's wife, Peter Gilligan had just come to their house a little before. And if he had not come earlier, why should the wife of the sick man, poor man, say that Father, you come again? That means this is the visiting of Peter Gilligan once again to the house of that poor sick man. Okay, now you see, now the words of the wife of this sick man, this poor man, did not register into the mind of Peter Gilligan, because he was in a hurry, because he was worried about the health, the happiness, the recovery of the poor man. Now the words did not enter into his mind, rather he half heard it. And what did the poor man, what did the father say? What did Peter Gilligan ask to the wife of poor sick man? Now come to stanza 9. And is the man dead? He cried. You see, in the stanza 7, Peter Gilligan said to himself, what? While I was asleep on the chair, the man died. Now here you see the same old priest Peter Gilligan asking the same question to the sick man's wife, the poor man's wife, is the man dead? Now you see, compare these two things, is the man dead, and again the man has died. How contrasting, the same person asking the same question, once to himself and again another to the wife of the poor man. Now here the implication is, this is the dream, and here Peter Gilligan wants some confirmation. Now he wants to know whether what he had seen, what he had dreamed at night, that was really true or not. Now, and is the man dead? He cried. Peter Gilligan did not cry, rather loudly Peter Gilligan shouted. Peter Gilligan asked the wife of this sick man whether her husband was dead or not. Now you see, the very brief answer, very calm and quiet answer, simple answer is, he died an hour ago. Who died an hour ago? This sick man. The sick man who was bedridden, who was awaiting for his last breath, that sick man, her husband, died an hour ago. That means an hour before the arrival of Peter Gilligan at their house. He died an hour ago. Now there is no sense of complaint. There is no question of any complaint. The wife of this poor man did not say, she was not aggrieved, she did not complain that you did not come and my husband passed away without any religious rites. Now rather she was very happy because she saw Peter Gilligan coming once again after the duration of 1 hour to her house again. Now the wife of the sick man said, he died an hour ago. Now what is the response? What is the reaction of Peter Gilligan? The old priest Peter Gilligan, in grief, swayed to and fro. You see, the wife of the sick man, deceased man, was not unhappy. The wife of the dead person was not unhappy. She was not sorry. But Peter Gilligan was sorry. Peter Gilligan was aggrieved. He was sad. You see the contrast. The person who lost her life partner was not unhappy. Rather, she was quite calm. She was rather satisfied. She was rather happy. But what made Peter Gilligan unhappy? Why was he aggrieved? He was in grief. Why was he sorry? Now, the thing is, Peter Gilligan was sorry because actually he failed to come to the house of this sick man. He was sorry because he could not perform his duty sincerely, because he could not perform the religious rites before the death of their sick man, because he could not pray for the expiation, for the atonement of this sick man after his death. He did not pray for the redemption of the soul of this sick man. That means it was a part of failure. It was just like a failure of his duty. It was just like a blot, just like a dark spot on his character, on his career, on his sincerity. And that is why Peter Gilligan was sorry. Now, when he returned back the color, he was sorry. And again, when he heard about the death of that sick man, again he became sorry. Now, because he was sorry for this, and he swayed to and fro, he lost his mental balance. He did not know what to do. He did not know what to do for this deceased person, for this dead person, because without the prayer, without the religious rites, the soul cannot get any redemption, any expression from sin. That is why, without knowing what to do and what not to do, he was puzzled, he was troubled, he was worried. Therefore, he swayed his mind from side to side, moved his mind from side to side. He was quite imbalanced, and that imbalance of his mind was due to his great grief, great sorrow. You see, today in this class I discussed the 3 stanzas 7, 8, 9 of the poem, and in these 3 stanzas we see how restless Peter Gilligan was. Even when he was asleep, he was thinking about that sick man. Now, because he was thinking deeply, seriously about that sick man and expecting his death at any time, he dreamed of him that he died when he was asleep on the chair. Now, you see, there is internal turbulence and contrasted to the outside, outward silence, serenity and peace and calmness. You see, there is the contrast, there is the juxtaposition of 2 different attitudes, 2 different atmospheres, internal disturbance, external peace and silence. Now, God offered external peace, external silence, external comfort to Peter Gilligan, so that at least he could be able to relax his body, he could be able to pursue his duty, to resume his duty the next morning. Now, you see how God is merciful, because when we are asleep, when we are enjoying our sleep peacefully, and God is taking care of us, and God is justifying his ways. God is giving us some idea how to lead our lives, how to follow his instruction, how to follow the law of nature, law of God, law of universe. Now, you see, we have the 3 lines, and as I have told you, the repetition of stock phrases can be found in ballad poetry, your Mavron, and again we see the same things here. The man has died, he died an hour ago, and we have a contrast here. Now, thank you very much for watching this part of this poem, and in the next part I will try to discuss the remaining 3 stanzas of this poem, and highlighting the important aspects of ballad poetry and something more and about the theme of the poem. Thank you very much. Okay, please like, share and subscribe to my channel.